Hello guys, welcome to Gamers TV, and this is Alex Uchimutino, or you can call me Mr. G. So we decided to also bring to you one of the best topic of discussion today with, of course, my co-panelist who is a bishop. So we've been talking about mental health, depression, talking about the safe sex amongst youth, but now we want to shed more light on the spiritual aspect of these two things. So yes, maybe pia tuambie tu kidogo kwa kina wakujue vizuri.
Thank you everyone. I'm Bishop Dr. Caleb Odhiambo Oruko of One Power Church, Kakamega. I'm also a lecturer with the Capacity and Training Institute and Grace International Bible University. Thank you for having me in the program.
Right, you're welcome. Right, so to our first question, the depression and mental health, right?
Yeah.
You see, there are these theories that are revolving around the youth ya kwamba kitambo kulikuwa na very few cases of depression and mental health amongst watu, but currently there is increased cases of mental health leading to suicide, people killing each other. So would you give us an aspect of that? Is it true that kitambo hakukuwa na high cases of depression and mental illness? And if it's true, what is the difference?
Well, it is true that the cases of mental illness has really increased over the time. But I would also want to say that in the modern days, technology has made exposure in almost every corner. And so every illness can easily be captured. Whereas in the past, due to lack of technology, very little documentation was made. Also, it is important to note that there are a lot of things that cause mental illness. One is family breakdown. There are cases where marriages are broken down, family unit has been broken, because the basic foundation of mental health is a healthy home, because life begins at home. And whenever there is a problem at home, it will always reflect in the life of children. The other thing that is causing mental illness is economic hardship. As a result of economic hardship, most parents leave their children with maids or not well attended. And as a result, the child goes through the pressure. The third challenge that causes mental health, in my view, is wrong education system. When you look at our nation today, we are moving from the 844 system that was dealing more with the cramming to competency-based education and training. Personally, I think that is the best idea, especially with the enactment of the laws that are governing basic education under the Basic Education Act of 2012, the TVET Act of 2013, the Universities Act of 2012, and the Kenyan National Qualification Framework Act of 2014. All these laws have set a framework by which, as we implement the competency-based education and training, the students will not be pushed to do what the parents want, or to do what people think they are, or to cram so as to look bright, but move towards what they are able to do. So one of the key contributing factors in Kenya is the kind of education that we have always put our children to. For example, I want you to look around any place and look at the students that are going to school, primary school, those who are now in class 7 and class 8, and look at the bags a child is carrying. And at the end of the day, we celebrate one who has scored an A, and the one who has scored a D is condemned to be a fool, forgetting that God has not created us the same. There are people whom God has put their competency in the brain. There are some whom He has put competency in the hands. some in the legs. I hope you have ever seen our athletes when they go to compete abroad. Somebody runs 42 kilometers and is able to win after that kind of endurance. And immediately he completes the race, they listen to journalists trying to interview them. If you will judge them based on the English they speak or the language they speak, you will condemn them. And so the kind of education we have always put our children also contributes to the pressure that they go through. And another contributing factor is exposure to wrong content in our media. When you look at any media house today, what sells is not the moral values we would want to embrace. We try to show them that nudity, violence, conflicts in the home, and faithfulness is the norm of the day. And so when they try to practice that, in the end of the day, it pulls their life away from what is expected.
Right.
Yes.
So from what you've explained, we can narrow down and say that the difference between the range in the increase in the number of mental illness, during this time compared to the olden days, is because of. Would you agree that it's because of erosion in moral and character?
Very much.
More than like when they're claiming outside their lives, mostly because of technology.
Technology is not a contributing factor. Because technology simply enhances how things are done and gives exposure. But the basic contributor is breakdown of moral values, beginning from the family unit. There are simple things we used to do when we were young. For example, when somebody who is old comes in, you rise up and he sits down in a vehicle anywhere. But I've seen most of cases where somebody travels with a child and somebody comes in and she says, "Mtoto wangu nimemlipia." Those are basic values. And one time I visited a relative and while I was sitting like the way I'm sitting, the child went and stretched himself on the screen and said, "Hii ni TV yetu, hautaangalia, hii ni yetu." And the parent, instead of handling the case, just told the child, "Baba tabia mbaya, nitaambia dadi." The next thing, when she brought for me food, the baby carried the food to the door and yes, my food, and said, "No, hii ni chakula yetu, hautakula matumbo yetu." Akaweka kwa mlango and began to scroll, kuweka vitu ndani. And the mother went and said, "Daddy, tabia mbaya," and it didn't do anything. The basic unit of moral values is home.
And so you agree, you're agreeing that parents also contribute towards erosion of character in a way?
The bigger percentage is contributed by the parents, because we have absentee parents, and most of the parents in this age are between 25 and 45, and these parents are busy looking for money to take their children to school to meet the needs, and have no time with their children to inculcate the moral values. I grew up at a time when a child belongs to a community, and if you do any mistake, anybody will correct you. But today, you cannot correct somebody's child because the parent is away and the parent has no time to guide the child. And most children that are facing depression, you will discover from a very tender age, they wake up, they are woken up at 6 or 5. By 6:30, they have gone to school. They come back at 8. They spend the whole day with the teachers, and these teachers have also their own pressures. You expect him to meet the curriculum needs and also to be a parent to your child. So at the end of the day, children are affected not because of their own making, but because of the adults surrounding them.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So just on the same issue about family setup.
Yes.
There's an increase in the number of young families.
Yes.
Teenagers getting pregnant and then they're forced to be married. at an early age.
Yes.
So what is the role of the church in such kind of situation?
The role of the church is key in several ways. One, in creating awareness of the dangers of early teen pregnancies and marriages. Because when somebody marries early, you affect your productivity, and you have a longer period of focusing on things that will not build your life. Secondly, apart from creating an awareness, as a church, we engage in basic activities, projects that engages the youth. In places where there are early child pregnancies and marriages, you will discover there is dropout from school at an early age. And once they drop out, they don't have anything else to do. They're idle around. And so what we do as a church, first we have sessions where we train the youth, we sensitize the youth on the importance of not marrying early before one matures. Because when somebody marries at a teenage, you will discover it is out of hype, just emotional attraction. There is still no maturity in mind. And also this person has not reached a flower age. So you will find that this person lives with this one. Then after a few years, he discovers there is another beauty somewhere. And so what we do, first we sensitize the youth on the need to wait. Secondly, we have parent meetings, family meetings. We have men's meeting, we have women meeting, then we have campus meeting. Then we also have sessions where we meet with the parents and children. And the purpose is to bring bonding in the family so that homes become a place where children can be. Because one of the reasons of early pregnancy and marriage is when the home becomes a prison or a threat. And so this teenage finds another young man who deceives him that life is greener on the other side. And another thing we do is that we do not condemn those who have already gotten pregnant, but we bring them in Capacity and Training Institute. We call ourselves a second opportunity hub, whereby those who are considered to have failed are brought back and helped to rediscover their way. Where did they live? What can they do now? Because if one has fallen, you don't keep on pushing him down. You find a way of assisting and helping them to come.
Right. So just on the same issue, would you as a bishop champion for the introduction of safe-sex education in churches?
What do you mean by safe-sex education?
All right. Okay. We live in a generation that the society with the modernization, the urbanization right now.
Yeah.
It is true that you can't dispute the fact that there are youth outside there who are sexually active, right? And these things, even though we consider them as the erosion of culture, where people are having sex at early ages, because nobody can get pregnant without having sex, right?
Mm-hmm. So
they are actually active and they're liberated. Mm-hmm. So it happens. They do it outside there. Because from whatever you say, you are saying seminars where you talk to people about the importance of waiting, not rushing to marriage. Mm-hmm. But don't you think that when you teach them the factor of waiting and not rushing to marriage, they can as well continue doing ABCD. So if they are not taught the importance of maybe saying having sex, like safe sex. Of course, tunasemanga abstinence is the best tool.
Yeah. Right?
And with the generation that we are in right now, we abstain. Maybe a few percentage do, but the rest that don't do. Would you, as the bishop, advise the introduction of safe sex?
The Bible is very clear on how a youth need to conduct himself. In 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verses 12, Paul advises Timothy, let no one despise your youth, but be an example to the believers in conduct, in love, and in morals. I want you to know, Alex, the problem of sex is not because the youth are maturing early. It is a problem of moral values. You agree with me that The challenge we have today is not because of lack of information. Where people miss the way is thinking that by introducing sex education, like for example, now the UN is advocating for comprehensive sexual education, and I would want to bring to attention of everyone that sexual education is not the problem. Any child that has gone through the basic education, you agree with me that as early as class 4, the curriculum already has introduced this child to reproductive health, where the child is exposed to naming body parts and what is happening. So I would not call it safe sexual education. Simply give the child the right information and he will put aside the wrong one. I've been a pastor for 27 years now, and I've been pastoring the youth. Anybody that embraces the Christian moral values and uphold it does not need to struggle with sex. I got married at the age of 32. I got born again while still in school in 1986. I did a wedding after I was very long sexually active. But it settled in my mind that as a born-again Christian, sex is preserved for the man. Alex distributing condoms and talking about safe sex does not quench the thirst for sex. There are things that only the power of God helps somebody to overcome. One of the things that activates the appetite for sex and has been a trap for the youth is the kind of movies we look at. The content that are set in the films, the kind of talks we engage in. When you don't display something in my eyes, I will not be attracted to it. I would advise that instead of the so-called safe sex education, because sex is not taught, sex is an experience. What needs to be done is, can we relook at the content we present, and can we relook at our values, and if we manage to abstain from sex, this generation can do so. And the contributors to sexual immorality are three. One is seduction. Two, the content you expose yourself to. And three, the kind of music you listen. Music is a soul food. And there are things you listen to, even if you have never seen the singer, your mind will just tell you this song. If you want to enjoy it, you do this, you do that. So we have to look at what do we display. Increase of sexual immorality has increased because today exposure to body parts seems to be the fashion. And when you there are parts that God created, we call them in counseling erogenic parts. They are meant to arouse sexual appetite. So when you expose the sexual arousers, you are doing seduction. And once you seduce, what do you expect? You expect the result. And so we cannot solve those three problems by introducing safe sex education. You introduce somebody to sex, they will get addicted to it, and you are still not solving anything. Biblically, sex outside marriage for those who are not married is fornication. For those who are in marriage, is adultery. If you have sex with somebody who is not your partner, the best way that still remains as the safe way is to encourage abstinence.
All right, you heard that. No matter what you think, abstinence. But now someone will also ask, right? Okay, you're talking about during your time, right?
Even this time,
Yeah, no, okay. Someone will argue. Let me.
even this time, I've raised youth in several places. Even last month, I officiated a wedding. And what I want to let you know, Alex, anybody that engages in sex before marriage, when he gets married, will have a problem of trust because you broke the seal of faithfulness. How will it come about? You will always have a mental reminder that if she gave herself to somebody, what can hinder her from giving herself to somebody else? The appetite for Wakando comes when you have tasted one or two different tastes. And the more you taste, the more you want.
So are you saying that nowadays we've got so many issues in marriages because ukiangalia sasa hivi duniani hapa actually the news so and so killed so and so because of land. Yes. So I think that the real story is this increased number of social vices among the youth when you're kwa ndoa sasa hivi because they did ABCD.
I would say that when it comes to marriage, there are a lot of causes. One, many youths jump into marriage because of physical attraction. Two, because of immaturity. When you get into marriage early, you have not developed the capacity to manage the challenges. And the reason why there are a lot of killings in marriage is because of economic hardships, one. Number two, because of immaturity. Number three, because of lack of information. And number four, because of wrong content. How? When we look at Nigerian movies and Hollywood movies, they paint marriage to be more of a pet thing, where it is honey, sleeping, eating well, moving here and there. And when these people jump into marriage and discover it is a serious business, there are times you will not have to jump on each other. You just have to deal with the issues of life that they cannot control. And two, the other thing is that many young people do not marry their friends. They hang around with their friends and feel like they are used to each other. And so one hand is holding the friend, another one is pulling the stranger. And then this stranger comes in as a wife, and the other one still remains. In any relationship where one is killed, 75% of them is a result of multiple relationships.
Right. Hitting the nail on the head, telling us the truth. So we just chose to bring the spiritual aspect because whatever we say, there is what we human beings believe is right, maybe because of our traditional philosophies. But now we decided to bring Bishop to talk to us pia kama vijana tujue what is right and what is wrong. Whatever you think human are supposed to do, like it's true, does the Bible say yes to that? So that's why we decided to come to Kakamega today and bring this hot conversation. Of course, inafaa tukuwe na session nyingine kuongelea tu marriage.
Yeah, that's
because despite the fact that we are trying to assume that we are supposed to go this direction, there are lots of youth who go in they are leading towards the wrong direction, believing that or hoping that it is correct according to their own eyes, but they need that guidance. So guys, this was a show that was trying to shed more light on the spiritual aspect of the current increase in the number of depression and young families in the society. So if you disagree with anything that we say here, najua kuna vijana wana disagree, tell us on the comment section. If you agree, let's spread the word. Spirituality is the only tool that we can use to fight evil vices, pressures of the youth, and everything that we are fighting against. So guys, maybe just a parting shot.
Yes.
Generally,
I want to encourage the youth. Number one, please don't be idle. Secondly, do not engage in something which you do not know. Before you engage into a relationship, get enough information. Above all, we are approaching election. I want to encourage every youth. Please go, if you have an ID card, enda chukua kura. Na usikubali kutumiwa na wanasiasa kupewa shilingi 20, 100 kutupa mawe kwa wengine. Let's stay safe and let's embrace spirituality. God bless you.
All right. Thank you very much for that session. Of course, we appreciate for you giving us time, of course, to shed more light on that. So guys, umesikia the last statement, tuna approach siasa. Usiende kwa hiyo kununua bangi, uende ukavuruge mahali. You never know, maybe your life might end there. So let us shun evil vices. Tuseme siasa mbaya, weke kando. So guys, this was Gamers TV, and I am your host, Alex Chimochino. Stay safe and see you all. Thank you.